Dear America, our government's getting shady. I want to spotlight the problem. I want to offer a solution in 6.5 minutes flat. Now keep in mind that the Revolutionary War was fought to free themselves from a central banking system. So here's how the current American dream system works. There are 400 very special Americans that have more wealth than 150 million average Americans combined. So the reality of the dream they're selling is the average Joe will be a slave to money due to the cost of living, while those that have the ability to print money will keep him busy chasing those dollar bills. Now let's examine how bold they are to call this legal tender. First, the U.S. Treasury Department has them print up some treasury bonds. Bond being the root word of bondage, which is a glorified IOU that means you'll pay it back with interest later. Guess who will get stuck with those bonds as soon as the generation that made the deal dies off, so nobody's around to say, hey, that wasn't the deal? Second, you have the private banks that are secretly shareholders of the Federal Reserve. They buy those bonds for $1 a piece, then turn around and sell them to the Federal Reserve for $1.50 a piece. The Fed writes a big rubber check that goes back to the banks so that the banks have some digits to go into their computer screens. Now they can go ahead and print up some more notes so they can inflate those dollars, keep the cost of living going up, keep them on the wheel, and voila, your currency has been created and inflated. Now the third part of this little love triangle, the Federal Reserve thugs, the unconstitutional IRS that goes out on government pay, collects all of those taxes, takes it back to the U.S. Treasury Department. Now the government can keep a couple promises, do some public works, make sure you're properly educated, fix some roads, and implement some welfare programs that would allow them to control what you eat. Hey, but we spend most of our tax dollars on national defense, which raises the question, are they protecting the U.S. citizens or are they protecting their investment? Because keep in mind, the shareholders of the Federal Reserve get 6% on that big rubber check. If you're not at all interested in catering to little fevered egos and pretending your life away in some sick little paper game, then join the Wheatland Community Cooperative. Street people, somebody's got to do it. We all know big oil and big energy companies have suppressed many technologies that had set us free, and we're going to prove it. Just want to say not all medical people are bad. Most don't know what's going on, but the people that provide those medical people with their education, they know exactly what's going on. There's no money in healthy people. There's no money in a cure, which is why many technologies that would cure things like cancer have been suppressed, and we're going to prove it. How quickly could we pull out of debt if we were no longer wasting $900 billion a year playing death mill with the medical industry? Over $600 billion per year just to keep the lights on in this country. Over $80 billion a year importing foreign oil, not to mention the cost of the troops to defend it. Let me be clear why I say death mill. Because the medical industry is a vile industry that creates illness in order to sell a cure. Gee, I wonder why they want to put fluoride in my water and GMOs in my food. Alright, we've talked enough about problems. Let's start talking about solutions. If you don't know why fluoride is bad and why it should never have been in our water, then you need to turn off that TV, go to our website, go to the research section, and do some research. Research the effects fluoride has on our pets. You must remain ignorant for this system to work. You must pretend that this piece of paper is worth this much of your time. This co-op was founded to provide purchasing power to our members to increase our benefits and discounts on essential goods and services, including legal. Let's face it, as soon as the prison system became a profitable business, America should have shut it down right then and there. No one does nothing. Look, America, this may be the last opportunity we have to draw the line in the sand and say, no, I'm not going to pretend you don't create money from nothing while I play the slave. If you haven't heard about Bitcoin, it's because this is news they don't want you to know about, till they can control it. Bitcoin could extinguish the Federal Reserve banks and the IRS in one fell swoop if the people of the world embraced it. If we controlled it before they did. Decentralized banking. Even if you walk away from Wheatland, at the very least, investigate Bitcoin. Imagine if even half the population rolled up their sleeves, got informed, not educated, came together, got connected. We'd have much more power than a vote. If everybody were to chip in even $1, we could employ the top scientists and engineers to solve any problem this country has, regardless of Team Evil's agenda. All that's needed is leadership that doesn't worship money. You can't write a check and make us go away. The Wheatland community is a call to action community, meaning if something is broke, you fix it. Not interested in sweeping things under the rug for our kids to fix. Right now we could bring manufacturing and jobs back to the United States and put America at the forefront of the cleaning up the earth business. We don't have to pretend along with this financial crisis. In the real world, if you can't do the job, you get fired. They've been pushing this self-help and this self-improvement because us coming together is what they fear most. This kind of truth might be our last ad. Join today.